Shane, welcome to the show. I'd love to talk to you again. What are you doing today, by the way? Are you in Wellington or somewhere else?
Kia ora, folks. Just finished our caucus meeting. Every Tuesday, our wee party has a meeting of the caucus members, and we tease through what stance we're going to take in relation to different pieces of legislation. Issues have been referred to us from the community. For example, Andy Foster, a colleague of mine, brought forward the issue as to what is the future for the Miramar Peninsula, the fact that the local community have been cut out of consultation. It's degenerated down into a secret talk fest between the Crown, whoever they are, and elements of the local iwi community, but the broader neighbourhood community feel left out. So that's not quite at the top of the pops in terms of the Crown agenda, but that's a small example of
Mm.
how caucus members bring different issues, and then we work out how we can assist a positive
It's a
outcome.
disaster, Shelley Bay. God, it used to be such a brilliant little area when it was owned by, I think it was the Air Force, I think, owned it, wasn't it, Shane?
Yeah, it was the Air Force, yeah, and I used to often take a drive around there with my kids and visitors from Northland.
It
It was a
was.
beautiful circuitous drive, but now it's a place I wouldn't even bother hopping out of the car to have a pee.
No, no, it's pretty shocking. Hey, listen, mate. On 2 days ago, you announced the terms of reference for this electricity market review. The terms of reference, just to quickly explain to our listeners, to look at the current regulations and the market design. That's a fascinating word, that market design of the electricity industry, to see if they support economic growth in this country and also access to reliable and affordable electricity for all of us. I'm interested in that word market design, Shane. Is a suggestion that the way in which the electricity market is currently configured isn't working?
Yeah, it's the long-standing position of New Zealand First that the Bradford reforms of the 1990s have done their dash. The market design, the rules, the settings have actually enabled extraordinary gouging to take place by the big players.
Mm,
Energy security is down the toilet.
mm,
Energy affordability is an ongoing critical issue, not only for households, but for industries in rural New Zealand. We've had the Winston's factory closed down there near Mount Ruapehu. I've been told there'll be other large industry players because of the cost of energy in New Zealand can no longer afford to operate in New Zealand. However, we got 6.5% of the vote. We were not strong enough to acquire or secure the position of being energy minister. It's something that Winston and I were very keen on. We also know that the gentailers were people associated with the gentailer community. These are the big power companies that own the retailers and also own the generating assets. They lobbied ferociously to keep New Zealand First out of that role, so we will have to fight that fight in the next election. But that's the position that I've brought in to the government, but I accept that it's a minority position and we're a coalition government, so market design is an opportunity to actually study, is the current structure serving the interests of the consumers, of industry, of households, or is it representing an ongoing opportunity for excessive levels of profit? And I've already made my mind up, it's the latter.
mm. No, I think you're right. Listen, and most New Zealanders would as well. We're looking at the profits of gentailers, in particular in this country, and retailers as well. But also the design seems so wrong. So you can end up with monopoly positions of just line companies, Shane, who can charge anything they like because nobody else is taking that electricity from one place to the next.
Well, it's not only the supply line companies, for example, like Top Energy and others up home, although we're fairly well served in the very far north because we're blessed by having a geothermal power station that our local line supply company owns. But the main problem is that people go through a winter, they hold on, they hold their breath. Last winter we had the highest energy prices in the entire world, and then suddenly we forget about it and we don't do anything about it.
Mm,
Now, this study. It's not the only study. There's another one that comprises the efforts of the Electricity Authority, an organisation I regard as a chocolate teapot, and you had me on your program talking about that before. However, there's one very powerful individual in New Zealand commerce, and his name is Mr. Small. And Mr. Small is a giant of a man, and has got a huge brain, and he is in charge of the Commerce Commission. Now that he is engaged also on investigating what improvements can be made in the electricity world, I've got a great deal of confidence in Mr. Small.
So you think that the Commerce Commission might actually do their job, because they haven't been for the last 20 years, Shane?
Yeah, but I've got a lot of confidence in this particular Commerce Commissioner. Naturally, they occupy a citadel where us mere mortals known as politicians have to step very gingerly around. But let's cut to the chase here. We have a situation where successive governments have struggled to tame the big powers in the industry. And the big powers are the gentailers. They're 50% in the share market and owned by share market players, and 50% by the Crown. Now, New Zealand First has always wanted to revisit the Bradford reforms. Mr. Bradford was a famous politician of the Jim Bolger days. He introduced a host of economic reforms through the electricity sector that have actually left us, in my view, more perilous. But then, there's another way of looking at this. Jacinda Ardern closed down the oil and gas industry, and I'm not sure if you're aware of that foul video that was played, including her remarks about climate change over the last week. Why on earth the woman is still voicing opinions about New Zealand now that Trump is running America astounds me. We're not interested in what she's got to say, and she should not be talking, because every time she opens her mouth, she imperils the good name of New Zealand.